Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. This is Kausar Izhar from Center for Peace and Spirituality. How's your day going? I am very much excited about sharing my views about love of God and fear of God, and would like to know what you think about that. So, this your assignment. Hmm. First of all, let's just talk about what is fear of God. As we discussed before, fear of God is as a result of love of God. And love of God means that how much we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But before that, we have to know how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us. So as you can see that, we all know that the only way to find out how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us is look at the items of the gratitude. That's like a tangible way. That's like you can measure it, you can see it. I have no control of all these things, like the ones that I'm getting. I'm getting all the food, I'm getting all the sunshine, the air, the oxygen, the gravity, the sunshine, the air, the water, and everything. Did I make it? Did anybody make it? Me and you and I, we are getting all this free supply of things. And that's like uncountable, that's innumerable. This is like infinite supply of things that we are getting to survive, not only survive, but to, excel, to flourish, to grow and everything. That tells us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us more than we know. And then the beautiful explanation of the love of God, we can see it, we can read it in Quran. So as we know more about, as we study more the Quran in deeper sense, and as we study the universe, as we study ourselves, as we study everything that we are, all the events and all the, circumstances and everything, we know that there is like unlimited amount of this infinite love that we are getting from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that love, once we know, once we discover, once we read more, we discover that brings us to a point that we cannot imagine, that we keep on thinking, we keep on discovering his love for us. Then it's just so much mind-boggling that how can that being loves us so much. And I can remember, maybe you know about this hadith also. This is in hadith that about why God created us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I was a hidden treasure and I wanted to be known, so I created human beings. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love is a hidden treasure. The more we discover, the more we work towards it, the more we find his love for us. And that love is connected with fear of God. That love is actually fear, our love. And then we start loving him because he loves us so much. Then our response is to love him. But the more we love him, I would like to take this word I would like to say this word, grow in loving him. Growing, as we grow in God, as we grow in loving God, it it takes up our mindset to a sense of awe, sense of reverence. We get, there's so much respect of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's so much, because we have discovered his majesty, we have discovered his glory. So we live in the glory of God. We live in the majesty of God. And that's called fear. That's called mindfulness. So that fear is not like a fear of like a snake or a tiger or a lion or something. This is a fear out of love, out of respect, out of his glory, and out of the fact that we have discovered him so big that it boggles our mind. It boggles our mind that some higher being loves us so much, and that loves overwhelms our mind, and we become mindful of God. We surrender towards him. We have a lot of respect towards him, and we get afraid of losing his love, and that is called fear of God. So, but how does this develops? How? So it gets develops by reading Quran, meaning of Quran, and thinking about it, thinking about the meaning of Quran. It's about having discussions about the meaning of Quran with your friends, and doing like study circles. And then at the same time, since Quran is all about nature, so we have to study nature, because nature is also created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to study universe, the nature. We have to look at the nature. You go out, you look at the plants and the waterfalls and mountains, and you go to the park, you look at the trees, you look at the rainfall and everything, and then you think, and that overwhelms you. That overwhelms you. How did the food get there? How is that, that grain of food was produced from the soil, from the soil, which is raw soil? We cannot eat the soil, we cannot eat the matti, the dirt. From that matti, from that dirt, the seed was grown, and through the all the universal love and care, that seed was grown into a tree and plant, and then the food grew out of it. Have we ever imagined, if we imagine how many millions and zillions of processes would take for the food that we are eating, and this is just like where this is coming from. So everything we discover, it adds to the glory of God. It adds to his magnificence, his reverence, and we come under the sense of awe. Sense of awe means that alam, that state, that we are so much overwhelmed by his glory and his love. That mindfulness, and then what happens, that he stays in our mind, he stays with us. And that constant state of being present with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, constant state with being his presence in our life, it makes us very alert, makes us alive. We are, even when we are sleeping, we are resting, we are alive, we are awake. So that that and then it develops our personality. The personality is that we get out of it is that it um, out of I mean we find out that fear of God, which means that mindfulness of God, is a very big motivator, is a strong motivator. It motivates us to do things. Like we become very serious, sincere. We want to do stuff. We want to make sure that we are uh, proving ourselves to the love of God. We study hard. We get good grades. Whenever we are working, we are truthful. We are very hardworking. Whenever we become a parent, a wife or a husband or a daughter or a son or grandparent or grandchildren, we take those seriously. We take our roles very seriously. So now, can you see that? Now, when I ask you a question, that how do you see yourself in living and walking in the sense of love of God and fear of God? How do you see yourself? How do you see interact with people? How do you see that? What is a measurement? How do you see a tangible way? You can see it, you can sense it, that I am or somebody else. So what would be the model? How would be a person who would be walking, talking, and having conversations, but he or she is in the state of fear of God and love of God? How? So let me just give you an example. Actually, it is also a hadith. Um, this is a hadith that one, when there will be a judgment day. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, people will find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asking questions. And Allah ta'ala will ask one person that, I was sick, but you never visited me. And that person would say, oh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are the master of the universe. I never realized that you could get sick. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that, remember, your neighbor was sick and you didn't go and visit him. You didn't feed him. You didn't give him water or something. So the person would say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I didn't know that was a person. I didn't know that was you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say that yes, I sent my person. That was my creation. That was my creation. That was my loving, person, like a man or woman. And I created him that you should take care of him at the time when he was sick, but you never did that. And the person would be so ashamed of himself. Similarly, the other person, Allah Ta'ala will ask the other person that, I was hungry, but you never fed me. But that person will say, oh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are the master of the universe. You have everything. Everything is under your power. You grow everything. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say that, remember, there's one person who was hungry and he was asking for food, but you never gave him the food. But the person would say, oh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I didn't know it was you. Allah said that he was my, he was my lovely creature, but I sent him but he sent him to test you, but you never, you know, fed him or anything. And similarly, the list will go. So that tells us that we are, we, that love of God and fear of God is being practiced all the time. We have to see that, we are failing in the test or we are passing the test. Sometimes we say, oh, that person, people have habits of asking money of, I mean, these beggars are always everywhere. They ask for money all the time. And why don't they, work or something? And sometimes you would say, oh, this neighbor, I mean, who cares about that neighbor? If he, he can, somebody else would feed him. It's not me. I mean, I'm busy all the time. But this is how we are being tested, by love of God and fear of God. This is how we get tested. Allah Ta'ala does not, comes down and tells us that, or sends somebody with a sticker on his face that, look at that, I'm being tested, you are being tested. So we have to, even if we know that some people will exploit us, they have a habit of begging or something, but we have to be nice with them. We have to talk to them. We have to give them something, even if it's not money, a piece of advice, listening ear, a smile, a handshake, and something, share. If you are eating something, give him something. Offer him something. It doesn't necessarily doesn't need to be money. It can be food, it could be clothes, it could be piece of advice, it could be just sitting and talking to him, or it could be just like, just giving him hope or her hope. So we have to give people, we have to be giver, because this is how we are being tested. This is how a person who has love of God and fear of God in his mind, the walking and talking person, this is how he or she should be, or you and I should be. Okay. So, and guys, we have to study, we have to do, we cannot just sit here and think of something that, that fear is all about heaven or hell. But that will happen after after we die, after we wake up or something like that. But right now, we have to live in the love of God and fear of God. So I have an assignment for you. Okay. And that assignment, that homework is that you are going to, how are you going to teach other person or explain the other person that what is the fear of God and what is the love of God? Can you give example of that from the Quran? Can you give example of something that you see or experience, or from the universe or something? And how do you see yourself in the state of fear of God and love of God? So we have to understand this, that this is actually, it's not that, it's we have to do that for the sake of, for the future or something like that, or when we are older. No, we have to do that right now. Right now, when we have some sense, we have some energy, we have, we are growing, and we also have to grow in love of God and fear. Growing means to get more knowledge, to experience more, and it means that we have to study more, we have to do more study, intellectual level study. I can recommend some books for you. There are books that you should read. You can go to cpsglobal.org, go to the books section, and download books in Urdu and English. All the books that you are going to see, they are directly or indirectly related to love of God, discovery of God, fear of God, personality development, spirituality, peace. And once we get clear about that, and once we start having these conversations are very important. So you have to have this circle, you have to have this community. You need to build that community with around yourself, which means your friends, your family, and everything, and then talk about that. This is just like the hottest, this should be the hottest topic of the town, because our life depends upon it. Everything builds upon it, everything depends upon it. Imagine how graceful your personality would be, how well-wishing and how effective your personality would be, how much wise you can get, because the wisdom that we can get is unparalleled wisdom. And I mean, we cannot buy the wisdom, we know that we cannot purchase the wisdom from store. We cannot even give like millions and billions of dollars to buy the wisdom. Wisdom can only be attained if we experience love of God and we submit to his will. We submit everything, our heart, soul, and mind towards it, and keep on striving, keep on striving, uh, keep keep on studying, keep on practicing. And it's kind of a jihad. Jihad is not about fighting or something like that. Jihad is about um, you know, going through ups and downs, struggles and problems and challenges, to be on the straight, to be on the path of truth. And then that truth is not only just like a small truth that, you know, there's a lot of things attached to it. Once we, once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, you know, helps us find the truth, which is like a truth. This is a truth that no, I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has so much glory. There's so much to learn from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we will, and that is the biggest truth of our life. And once we find truth, we cannot go back. We have to move forward to strengthen the truth, to add more value to it. So now we learn that fear of God is not like a traditional fear, like, you know, fear of fire or fear of snake or fear of material or fear of other things. Yes, there is a fear of hell, but that's after death. That's after death. The fear that we are talking about is a very positive force. It's a motivator. It motivates us to save ourselves from unnecessary mistakes, from unnecessary negligences, from unnecessary, you know, stuff or something like that. And it makes our life more result oriented. You know, when we are in the state of fear, which is a positive force, we will judge things by its result. And what a good way of finding things, of doing things on the basis of results. Because right now is that when we tend to, you know, throw darts in the dark. Maybe it's like a hit or miss or kind of thing, but it's not the when we are in the state of fear of God, what happens is that our shots that dart that we are throwing, they can be in the bullseye. They can be in the bullseye. So, my friends, let's just grow in the fear of God. And let's just study more and more. the more we study, the more we will be in the state of fear of God, more love of God. What will happen is that we will get benefit. We will get to discover the treasure, the treasury of Allah subhanahu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a treasurer, is a treasure. His being is a treasure. So, but we have to become a seeker, a finder. We have to grow in the spirit of seeking. Grow in the spirit means that become motivation, having motivation. And motivation, sometimes motivation is a one-time thing, or few times, you get motivated, then get demotivated. You have to grow into motivation, is because you have to feed that fire all the time, which means that keep on studying, keep on finding, keep on looking, never stop. You can be your own master. You can be your own motivator. Nobody will be there to motivate you. You will be the one who will be doing that. Okay. So let's just do that together. Let's just do all the assignment and then give them back to Madam Bushra, so that she can give it to me, and then I can find out that. And then inshallah one day we'll have conversations and discussions about this. And I would like to know that, I would really love to find out about your experience. I will sit silent and I will listen to you. That would be the most beautiful day of my life, inshallah. All right, guys. Inshallah, we'll meet again. So let's just do this together. I'll come back with more information, more insight. All that things that I'm talking about is just like, it's not my own thing. I mean, I'm studying, I am looking at the lectures. I am also, believe me, I'm also listening to other scholars too. And you will see that if you listen to scholars, you will see that which scholar makes sense or something. And don't follow personality. Just keep away, keep out of those personalities. Just keep on listening to different scholars. Okay, keep on reading different books. And most importantly, study Quran and have conversation, have like dialogues and discussions about it. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Have a nice day.